Hello everyone, I'm Geeta welcoming you to this session to discuss the concept of printers. In the previous class, we have started the discussion of printers where we have classified into two categories, namely the impact printer and the non-impact printer. And in the impact printer, again can be further classified into two categories, namely the character-oriented printer and the line printer. In character-oriented printer, we have discussed daisy chain and dot matrix. In today's session, we will discuss about this line printer. So coming to this line printers, this also comes under the category of impact printers, and it is used normally with the mainframe and the mini computers. And usually whenever we want to generate large volume of output, then we will always prefer for this type of line printers. And usually this line printer printing speed is measured in terms of lines per minute. In the previous dot matrix printer, there we character oriented printers, we measured the speed as number of characters per minute. Here it is going to be lines per minute, and usually the speed is going to be in the range 300 to 3000 lines per minute. And coming to the classification of line printer, we have further classified into two categories. One is a drum printer, the next one is a chain printer. So in the drum printer, it contains a cylindrical drum. So the main component of this drum printer is going to be a cylindrical drum. On the surface of the drum, the characters will be embossed. So we will have the characters embossed on the surface point. A set of print hammers also will be there associated with each character. So as and when the drum rotates, the hammer will wait till the desired character comes into the position, and once it has been positioned properly, then the hammer is activated so that it will make an impact on that font, and that will be transferred to the paper. So the hammer is placed behind the paper, so it will strike the paper along with the ribbon so that the printer will be able to print a line. So you can just see this diagram so that it will be more clear. So as I told, we will be having the print hammer, and you will be having the hammer for each column. So for each column we will be having the hammers, and we have to position the hammers in the proper way, and the drum keeps rotating, and there will be a ribbon in between the paper and the drum. So we have the paper here, so this is going to be the paper, and we have the ribbon which is inserted in between the paper and the drum. So this is going to be the actual drum, and on the surface of the drum we will be having the characters printed. So the drum will be kept rotating, and when the appropriate character comes in the same corresponding row, then the backside the hammer will be able to will be activated, and it will make a strike on the paper. And when it strikes on the paper, the font in the drum printer will get impressed over the paper, and in between we have the ribbon by which the ink will be transferred. So this is how the drum printer will work. And coming to the chain printer, it is also coming into the category of line printer. It contains the characters, the chain, it contains a chain, and in this chain the characters to be printed will be embossed, and the print chain will always rotate very rapidly, and with each link of the chain there will be one character font. So we have the magnetically driven hammers which are helpful for printing the appropriate position when the characters come to that desired position. And how these characters have to be positioned are going to be fully controlled by the processor. When the desired character comes into the print position, then what happens? The hammer will strike the ribbon, and the paper will be there. Against that, it will be transferring the font, and this is how it is going to print the characters, and usually it will be printing one line at a time. So the printer speed will always range in terms of lines per minute, and if you just see the speed of this chain printer, it ranges from 400 to 24,000 lines per minute. So you can just see this chain printer here. So this is going to be the motor or the drum which is going to rotate, and we have the back of this paper, and this is where the print hammers will be located, and in the other extreme we will have the band. And now what will happen here? We have the embossed characters. Okay, so these characters it will be available. So this is what projected here, and when it keeps rotating and the desired print, if it comes to the position, then the hammer will be activated, and it will be striking the paper, and once it strikes the paper, with the help of the ribbon, the print will be transferred into this paper. So this is how the line printer is going to work. So so far we have discussed about line printers, which is categorized into two cases. One is a drum printer, another one is a chain printer. And now all the printers whatever we have discussed so far will come under the category of impact printers, because the printer is able to print the characters only by making a only by striking the head on the paper. So the next category is a non-impact printer, and here the printer will use an ink. Usually it uses an ink, and special electrical methods or machines are chosen for producing the output. And the non-impact printers are those printers which will print the information on the paper without touching the paper. So there is no impact produced. That is going to be the biggest advantage of this category. The non-impact printers will form the characters and whatever the images to be printed on the piece of paper without striking the paper. And we have three classifications of impact non-impact printers. One is called the laser printer, then the inkjet printer, and then thermal printer. So these classifications are based on the technology which have been adopted for printing the information on the paper. The first of its category is a laser printer. Here the printer will be able to print one page at a time, and hence it is referred as a page printer. So in the character printer it will be printing character at a time. In the line printer it will be printing line at a time, whereas this laser printer will be able to print one page at a time. And this printer always uses this electronic technology. With the help of this lasers and xerography and other techniques, we have the output produced, and it is going to be totally identified as electrophotographic technique. So the full technique adopted by this laser printer is going to be referred as electrophotographic technique. So here what happens is we will be taking a laser beam, and it is going to be directed across the surface of the light or across the photosensitive drum. So here also we have kind of a drum sort of arrangement which is going to be very sensitive to the photo, and we have the laser beam, and this laser beam is directed across the surface of this drum, and we will be able to produce an image on the drum, and by using this principle of raster scanning in the form of tiny dots. Already we have discussed raster means arrangement of dots. So by that principle we will be able to generate any type of characters or any type of images. So this is going to be the diagram of how a laser printer is going to appear, and hope everyone would have been already familiar to this laser printer. Coming to the advantages of laser printer, it is very much noted for its speed, a very high speed, and of course there is no concept of impact. So the printer is not going to strike the paper, and because of that the noise level is also going to be low. And with respect to maintenance, it is going to be low. Okay. And quality, of course it is going to be of high quality, even if the output is going to be taken in a ordinary printer. And of course normal textual printer also it is having good quality, and it is also notable for its graphical quality. So it is having good graphics quality, and the quality measure is going to be termed in terms of DPI, dots per inch. Okay, so 300 dots to 1200 dots. So more the number of dots, more the clarity and the resolution will be, and it will be able to generate excellent graphic capabilities, and supports many fonts and different character size. And of course color printing is also possible in the case of the laser printer. Coming to the disadvantages of laser printer, of course it is very expensive, and already we have told low maintenance in terms of cost, but it needs to be maintained in a periodic manner with respect to this toner and other details. So somehow cost wise it is expensive, and also cost wise the maintenance cost will always be there. The next category what we are going to discuss is the inkjet printer. So inkjet printer also will come under the category of non-impact printer, and it is going to be classified in character printer. It is a dot matrix approach. Already we have discussed dot matrix printer. The same concept here also applied, and that is going to be used to print any text or graphics for that matter. And usually we form the dots formed by tiny droplets of ink. And we also have a jet arrangement which is going to have some bottles filled up with inks. So we are going to form the dots, or the tiny droplet of ink is going to be used for framing the characters. They print the characters by spraying the small drops of ink onto the paper. So by means of spraying technology, the ink which is filled up in the jet is going to be forcefully sprayed, and it is going to make dots on the paper, and there how you are able to produce a printout. For spraying drops, we are going to make use of the nozzles, and the nozzles are going to be fully controlled by the processor. Special type of ink having this iron content can also be used to form the drops. So these printers are coming under the category of character printers, and the print speed is going to be measured in terms of number of characters per second, and it is given as 40 to 300 characters per second. And of course this inkjet printer can also be used to produce multicolor outputs, and the only variation required is that we have to fill up the inkjets with colored ink. Then coming to the advantages of inkjet printer, it is notable for its high quality text and also for the graphics, and of course it produces no noise. There is no concept of the hammer striking on the paper. It is only spraying the ink, so there is no noise with respect to inkjet printer. Coming to the disadvantages of inkjet printer, of course its speed is very slow than the other impact printers or the non-impact printers. But if you consider the quality of the image, it is going to be considerably okay. It is lower, but it is lower than the other printers because of the, it all depends on the dots per inch. So we have told that it could be in the range up to 180 dpi. So obviously the quality is going to be also moderate, and of course the maintenance cost is going to be more because the ink cartridge whichever we are using for the ink printer, inkjet printer, is going to be a costly affair. The next category which we are going to discuss now is going to be the thermal printer. And thermal printer, as the name implies, it produces the images by pushing the electrically heated pins against a special heat sensitive paper known as the thermal printer. So in thermal printer, we are going to make use of the heated pins. They are electrically heated and they are going to produce output on the special paper. It is a heat sensitive paper, whereas whatever the printers you have discussed so far, they will be using the printouts, they will be using taking printouts in the normal paper, whereas here we have to use a heat sensitive paper. So that is going to be an important criteria. It needs heat sensitive paper, and the papers are have to be coated with a heat sensitive material, so only we call that as a heat sensitive paper. And whenever a spot on the special paper is going to be heated, obviously it becomes dark. So by heating the points on the paper, we are able to eliminate darkness, and thereby we are able to transfer the image. So a character is printed with this matrix of dots, and the heating element is heated by the electric current. Such printers have a speed of 200 characters per second. Coming to the advantages of thermal printer, they are of low noise and can produce high quality color output. And as a drawback of these printers, they are expensive, and of course they are also slow speed. And the main limitation of this type of printer is that it needs special sort of paper, which is going to be called as a thermal paper, and that is going to be a drawback. Now we will just see the difference between the impact printers and the non-impact printers. So first we will discuss with respect to mechanism. So based on the mechanism, it produces print on the paper only by striking. So the hammer is going to strike on the paper, and thereby only we are able to generate the output. Whereas in the non-impact printers, there is no concept of striking, so it is a non-striking mechanism. Rather, it uses only either electromechanism or the electrostatic mechanism or thermal mechanism. Based on the classification, based on the technology, we are going to classify as electrostatic or thermal. And coming to the working principle, the impact printers usually uses the pin arrangement and the hammers, or it can also make use of the wheels, and these components will be struck against the inked ribbon to print a paper, to print a output on the paper. Whereas in the case of non-impact printers, we will be using the laser beam, or we will be spraying a special ink, or we can also heat and pressure give pressure to the paper so that the image can be transferred onto it. Coming to the color output, impact printers, if you just take, it has no color capacity, except for that even if the ribbon is going to be colored ribbon, it is not able to generate a good quality color output. Whereas coming to the non-impact printers, it can be catering for both the clear color and also for black and white printing, and it is especially noted for printing the good quality pictures and also for realistic outputs. And coming to the cost, impact printers are going to be normally less expensive because there is no special technology required, just only the hammer and the paper. So it is less expensive, whereas non-impact printers are more expensive because of the technology behind it. Either it will be using the laser technology or the inkjet technology, or a thermal technology, whatever it could be. And then coming to this graphics image, except for dot matrix printer, these printers cannot print the graphic images. Only the dot matrix can print any kind of images. And similarly, coming to this non-impact, these printers can easily print any type of graphical images. The tools which we are going to use is that we are going to make use of the specially inked ribbons to produce print on the paper when the print head strikes, whereas in the non-impact printer, we use a concept of toners, or we can also have the cartridges for printing on the paper. Coming to the speed, so the impact printers are always low speed printers, whereas the non-impact printers are notable for its fast speed, and they will be able to print pages, many pages per minute. Coming to the sound effect or the noise, the impact printers are highly noise and non-impact printers don't make noise. Character style, it cannot be changed in the impact printer, whereas this can produce any type of character printers. So this